What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Run with Jay channel. So today we're going to be looking at track spikes, and specifically we're going to be reviewing the Nike Air Zoom Maxfly. So this is the newest and greatest invention from Nike, and it's supposed to be the newest, fastest sprinting spike out there. So in this video, we're going to take a look at the spike and review it to see if it does live up to the hype. So if this is your first time to the channel, welcome. Please hit that like and subscribe button as well as the bell for notifications. To all my returning subscribers, thank you so much for your contribution and support. So let's get this review started. So the Tokyo Olympics are well underway, and Nike has released 3 new super spikes that's supposed to complement all the track and field athletes in the Olympics this year. You have the Dragonfly, the Air Zoom Victory, and now this newest sprinting spike, the Nike Air Zoom Maxfly. So we'll get right into the specs. So this spike was released in July of 2021. The cost of this spike is $180, which is pretty expensive for a pair of spikes. This spike weighs at about 5.4 ounces for a size 8, which is, not the lightest spike out there, especially compared to the Superfly Elite 2. And this spike is intended for 100 meters to 400 meters sprinting with hurdles as well. So with this spike, similar to all of the other Nike super spikes, I had to go half size down just so I can get a more locked in feel in my foot. When I went with my normal trainer shoe size, it just felt like there was too much room in the spike and my feet was moving around a little bit too much. So I had to go down half a size in order to get my foot, more locked in, which is what I prefer in a track spike. And you can run on these without the pins in them, or with the pins in them on the spike, but Nike does recommend putting the spikes in when you're running on the track, just because if anything gets into the holes of the pins, it could ruin the spike pretty much. So if you did want to put the pins in them, they wouldn't fit. So this spike is put together with a few important components. For the upper, you have the flyweave material, which is a woven synthetic upper that gives you secure, lightweight containment. I do notice you feel very locked in these uppers. And the laces are included are the notch laces, which all started from the Nike Alphafly Next Percent, and now they've been using them in pretty much every super shoe that they have. They're pretty nice because of the notches. They stayed laced up, so it doesn't come loose very often. On the tongue here, you have a tiny bit of padding in the middle for lacing, so it doesn't hurt the top of your foot. It's not very noticeable, but there's definitely a slight bit of padding. There is some cushion and padding at the heel and the collar area of the spike, which is pretty nice. Just enough, I guess, for comfort. For sprinting, though, you're probably not going to notice it that much. And for the upper, it's not intended to be very breathable. Definitely not compared to something like the Air Zoom Victory or maybe the Dragonfly, since these are for sprinting, so you won't be in these for a very long period of time. On the bottom, you have the Air Zoom unit, which has got these 2 dual chamber units that help give you responsiveness and cushion. And then you have these lightweight foam in the back, as well as a little piece in the front to give you extra support. I'm not sure if these are ZoomX foam. I don't think they are. They're just a lightweight foam. ZoomX foam is very light and squishy, and this is pretty durable and tough. And you also would have a ZoomX label outside of the foam, so I don't believe this is ZoomX foam. It's just another foam that's more durable and definitely a lot more, could take a lot more beating compared to the ZoomX foam. And you also have the full-length carbon fiber plate that's in the middle of the spike here, which you can actually see in the forefoot area. This is tuned for the mid foot as well as the heel to give you a very stiff ride, to give you a lot of responsiveness. This spike is very stiff, so compared to all the other spikes, this is probably as the stiffest spike I've tried on. And it's it's intended to be sprinting, so it definitely will give you a lot more rebound and responsiveness on every step you take, so which I understand. For the stiffness of the spike, the Air Zoom unit definitely complements it in a way where you don't even feel the rigidity of the carbon fiber plate in the shoe, since it's in the spike, since it's tuned very stiff. But it gives a great balance with the Air Zoom unit inside. It gives you great responsiveness and cushion while you're sprinting, so it feels like nothing else that I've tried on, or that's out there in the market. And on the bottom you have the hard plastic plate, and for this bike you have 7 holes that you can put studs in, which Nike does provide when you buy this bike. And also there's the shockwave pattern design on the heel to give you more traction and support as you're sprinting. So like I said before, Nike has released 2 other spikes to complement the full range of track spikes out there. So initially you have the Nike Dragonfly, which is considered, I guess in my opinion, a long distance spike, which you can use from 5K all the way up to 10K, or even if you want to use it for a mile. That's probably the most comfortable and most breathable spike out there. And then you have the Nike Air Zoom Victory, which uses the Atom Knit material, which is the same as the Alpha Fly Next% on road shoes. Very breathable, incorporates the same notch laces as well, and also has Zoom X foam on the bottom and the Air Zoom unit, as well as a carbon fiber plate. So I guess this would be the short to mid sprinting spike. You can definitely use it for 400 all the way up to a mile. In my opinion, I would probably use this bike for anything above 800 all the way up to a mile, and then anything above a mile I'll probably use the Dragonfly. And then you have the Maxfly, which is intended for from Nike 100 to 400 meters with hurdles as well. So this is purely a sprinting spike. And Superfly Elite, which was Nike's previous elite sprinting spike, is a great spike as well, and a lot of people still love it. It's definitely more lightweight. It has the Atom Knit material, which is similar to the Air Zoom Victory, as well as the Alpha Fly Next%. So that spike is more focused on weight as opposed to responsiveness and cushion like the Maxfly has in the shoe. The Maxfly is World Athletics approved, so you can race in these for competition. So the Air Zoom Victory and the Maxfly look very similar, especially with the Raw Dashes colorway that Nike has released for the Olympics. The Atom Knit material is different on the Air Zoom Victory, which is also the same material that's used in the Superfly Elite 2, which is the predecessor for this Maxfly. The laces are the same. You have the notch laces. The foam is a little bit different. You have the Zoom X foam in the Air Zoom Victory compared to just regular lightweight foam here on the Maxfly. You have the same Air Zoom unit on these in the forefoot to give you extra responsiveness and energy return, as well as a carbon fiber plate. Both of these spikes, however, I feel like the Maxfly spike is just a little bit more stiffer compared to the Air Zoom Victory. There's padding in both the heel collar area. There's the Matumbo hole in the back of the Air Zoom Victory to save on weight. And definitely there's a little bit more padding in the Maxfly spike as opposed to the Air Zoom Victory. And there's no padding in the tongue for the Air Zoom Victory as well. So with the Atom Knit, it's literally bare, and they're really trying to save weight with the Air Zoom Victory. The Zoom X foam is definitely a little bit softer than this just regular lightweight foam that Nike has used in the Maxfly. So the Air Zoom Victory is a lot softer in my opinion compared to the Maxfly, but this is also a little bit longer distance as opposed to the Maxfly. On the bottom, they look very similar, except the Air Zoom Victory has 1 less pinhole compared to the Maxfly at 7. So 6 pins in the Air Zoom Victory and 7 for the spike. On the bottom, you have the shockwave pattern for both of these spikes, and for extra grip and return. And on the Air Zoom Victory, you have these 2 like shark fin grip areas in the back of the heel, as opposed to a full plate with the shockwave pattern in the Maxfly. So ideally, these are 2 spikes that are very fast. You can definitely use them for sprints. I personally would use the Maxfly obviously for 100 to 400s, and anything above that I would use the Air Zoom Victories. So between the 3 super spikes that Nike has come out with, they all serve a different purpose. You have the sprinting spike, the short to mid distance, and then anything above that would be the long distance spike, which obviously has the most comfort. So this Dragonfly would be the most comfortable in my opinion, followed by the Air Zoom Victory, and then followed by the Maxfly in that order. And as well, the Maxfly has the most rigid and stiff carbon fiber plate out of all those shoes. The Air Zoom Victory does have a carbon plate as well, but it feels less stiff compared to that, and it does feel definitely a lot more comfortable with the Zoom X foam as opposed to just the regular foam in the Maxfly. And then the Dragonfly has the most comfortable foam in my opinion, and also that has a plastic plate, so it's not as rigid and stiff compared to the other 2 spikes. So first running the Maxfly, right away I can feel how stiff the carbon fiber plate and is tuned, which is good because if you're going fast, you want that responsiveness and heavy kick from the plate to give you, propel you forward faster. And this bike definitely does that. You're definitely on your toes pretty much the entire way when you're running in these spikes, and it kind of forces you to. This spike is definitely fast. And I could definitely feel the cushion in the forefoot with these air zoom units. Doesn't tire out my legs that much. So this bike is definitely fast. I've broken my 100-meter record already in these bikes. I didn't have any issues with the spike being unstable like some people said. With the pins in, you feel very grounded. Even on turns, there wasn't any issues. It just wants you to go fast, and it's definitely a nice feeling. When you can feel the stiffness of the comfort of the air zoom unit, which propels you forward and makes you go even fast. And you can just it's hard to explain, but when you're running in these spikes, you can feel like you're just going faster than you usually can, maybe with a trainer or another type of shoe. So definitely, this spike is fast, even though it's a little bit heavier compared to the other two spikes. I think that, all of the cushion and the carbon fiber plate that's tuned in this spike kind of negates all of the extra weight. And, it's not that heavy, in my opinion, 5.4 ounces, maybe like an ounce or a half an ounce heavier than the other two spikes. It is, could be a noticeable difference, but it does definitely makes up for it with all of the extra features that are added into the spike. So with the Superfly Elite, that spike is super lightweight. You barely feel it on your foot as well. But I think it's just a tad bit slower, in my opinion, compared to this spike because of the extra responsiveness you get from the cushion, as well as the newly tuned carbon fiber plate in the shoe that just propels you to go faster. And I think other reviewers online have done tests between the two spikes, and ultimately they've decided that the Maxfly is a little bit faster. But either way, the Superfly Elite is $150, so that is $30 cheaper than the Maxfly, so that is definitely a bargain. Now, if you're worried about price, they are both fast. I think the Maxfly just has a tiny bit of edge with all of this new technology that they've put into it. They're very similar to all the other spikes like the Air Zoom Victory. They're all putting these Air Zoom units into the shoe for responsiveness and cushion. And the ZoomX ZoomX foam is their tried and true foam that they're pretty much putting in every shoe and spike out there to give you extra speed and extra comfort as well. So to sum up everything in regards to the three super spikes that Nike has produced, you have the Nike ZoomX Dragonfly that's intended from Nike to be about $1,500 to about $10K. You have the Nike Air Zoom Victory that's intended to be for 800 meters all the way up to 5K. And then you have the Maxfly, which is the sprinting spike, which is intended for 100 to 400 meters, even for hurdles as well. As I said before, all three of these spikes have their purpose. The Dragonfly is intended for mid to long distance, the Air Zoom Victory for short to mid distance, and then you have the Maxfly, which is intended for sprinting. So, you can have all three of them, which would be a little bit expensive in my opinion. They're $180 for the Air Zoom Victory and the Maxfly, and $150 for the Dragonfly. So they're probably one of the most expensive track spikes you can get out there. Probably one of the quickest spikes you can get for the money, even though they're expensive. A lot of athletes, even that are not sponsored by Nike, are using these spikes for the Olympics just because of how fast these spikes. So is the Maxfly worth it? In my opinion, even though it's expensive, I think it is. It's probably the most innovative track spike or sprinting spike out there. It's taken it to the next level even after the Superfly Elite, which was very successful. The spike is definitely quick, and it's definitely a comfortable sprinting spike to have. If $180 is an issue, I would say definitely get the spike if you want to get a PB in your 100 to 400s, or you can even extend it to maybe an 800 if you want to really run in these. It's going to be very tough to find any of these spikes right now, especially with the Olympics. Pretty much they're sold out everywhere unless you're a size like 13 or above, since these seem to be selling out everywhere. So good luck getting a pair of these right now. I would think Nike probably would restock these again sometimes in the fall. But right now they're pretty tough to get, and people are reselling them also at like crazy on reselling websites. So thank you guys for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know down below, what do you guys think of these spikes? Are you looking forward to getting the Maxfly? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Or do you prefer the Arizona Victory over this? Or if you guys have any other comments, feedback, or questions, please feel free to leave them down below. If you guys haven't subscribed yet, please hit that like and subscribe button. Hope you guys are all staying safe and your training's going well, and I'll talk to you guys on the next run.